laugh lines, that's how it goes. Little game on a weekday night, paint stained hands, sky so bright. Tiny candles, soft warm light. Suddenly the world feels right. We've been running in circles, chasing the same old race. Now we're coloring chaos, finding a softer pace. Every story a shortcut, every voice a friend. Press play, feel the shift begin. Every day there's something new. Yeah.
Hi everyone and welcome to BrainHacks. It is our first in real live person broadcast where we all are in the same room. So it's first for us also. That's really cool. So welcome. We've got Nova, we've got Dee, myself, Robert, and we've got Kat.
Hi guys.
Hi. Good morning.
I'm so excited that we're finally together. Like that's the biggest
I
thing.
know.
We've been doing this for a while, almost a year now, I think,
Yeah.
on stream. So it's been virtual. And I think you guys can identify during the times of COVID where everybody was stuck in their house and everybody had to do streaming.
Yeah.
And it was nice to be able to see people, but I think we're just beyond that where we want to be
In person.
in person
Yeah,
together.
Absolutely.
People like concrete
Yeah.
socialization where you can see each other and then communicate.
Right. So today is a little bit different as far as our regular broadcast with BrainHacks. If you are just joining us, thank you so much for taking the time and waking up with us here at BrainHacks. We are in Tampa, Florida, and it is kind of rainy today.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice because I think the
The
nights-
weather's been on and off. It's
Yeah.
been like dreary and then nice.
And then nice, right? So we're just going to kind of talk a little bit today. If you have any questions, be sure to, just chime in and ask some questions. I cannot see the questions from all the way over
I
here.
will try to read
So,
them. I'll try to.
so we will try our best to answer some questions. If we don't get to your question, we will answer it after the show. So be sure to come back to the recordings because we'll answer answer the questions in chat. But we actually have questions for each other, right? I think
Yeah.
today we have a bunch of questions for each other. But what I want to do first is I want to go around the table and I want to introduce everyone. I want everybody to introduce themselves and their companies, what they do, and why they became a part of BrainHacks, because we are so indulged in talking about BrainHacks when we have topics that we talk about. I don't think we talk about enough about what we actually do.
Yeah.
So Nova, if you want to go first, introduce yourself.
Sure, I'll do my best. Hi, I'm Nova. I am part of Void Stars Art.
Sorry.
All good. I'm part of Void Stars Art. I'm a children's book illustrator, digital artist, and I bring to the table advocacy for youth and my experience as a neurodivergent individual. And that's my input.
Awesome.
All right, and I'm Robert Gilmer, and I am a vocal coach and music enthusiast. And I think with BrainHacks, often music transcends into different things, into different areas where it's an art form, but it's also a working art form. So people do music as a living and as part of their careers. And that's one thing that I enjoy, bringing the academic side of music, the creative side, and the working side, trying to bring that and bridge the gaps in between those different spheres.
Awesome.
I'm Dee Roberts. I am the owner of Rara Avis Therapeutics. I am a mental health counselor intern in the state of Florida, and I provide financially accessible, inclusive mental health care for ages 12 and up. I also do art therapy, narrative therapy, and various other things. So different approaches that I use for mental health. And I also have art therapy workshops that I host monthly. And I try to bring the psychological and mental health aspect to the table. Also, a lot of gaming, tabletop gaming, which is one of my passions.
Absolutely. And I'm Kat, and I am the owner of Vault 127. It is an edutainment kind of firm. It's edutainment. If you're not familiar with edutainment, it's like educational entertainment. So I use games to, and mostly video games. I know Dee does most of the crafting and the boards and board games. I'm focused more on the video game aspect, and utilizing online communities for connections and how they can positively affect us during chaotic moments in our life. And also, I do a lot of advocacy for caregivers and those who are married to spouses that have special needs, as well as working with using cosplay in the schools and in the workplace as well, to get people motivated and to learn more about what you're actually doing for your job and your title. And it just makes it really fun. But I utilize entertainment in general for education. So we all bring a lot of great parts to BrainHacks. BrainHacks really focuses on utilizing mental health and work-life balance, as well as keeping your brain in hack, I guess, with little strategies, not these big informative things like taking a course or a class. We like to give little tips that you can utilize throughout the week. So that's really where we're at with BrainHacks and what we do and what we bring to the table.
Yeah.
So so today we're going to ask each other some questions, and just to get to know each other, and as well as allowing you to get to know us. So Robert, you want to go first on the questions?
Yes. So I think if I'm thinking with regards to you, Kat, and Dee, I have so much respect for someone who is a mother, a creative, and a business owner. So I think I'm going to start with your question first, Kat. So if I have to think, what is something becoming a mom taught you that unexpectedly made you better at running a business? I know it's a big one.
That's a good question.
So being a mom,
Starting off
so
with
what
the
would
good
you say like
questions.
made you better at running a business?
I think organization. That's a big thing, because I have 3 kids and 2 of them are on the spectrum, and my husband is also on the spectrum. So I think being organized really helped them learn what they had to do as responsibilities and in the daily aspect of things, as well as kept me from micromanaging. So I know people don't like, and this is true with moms and kids, where they're like, "Mom, stop, get off my back about certain things. I'll get to it." Or spouses, where they say, "Stop nagging me." Right. So if we have lists or if we have organization on things that need to get done, you don't feel as a mom that you have to micromanage, and they feel they're more confident at what they're going to do. And that's the same thing that we can utilize in business with our employees, or even with management, or with your team. If you are on a team, is that organization aspect. I think that really helped me in both aspects greatly.
That's awesome. Okay, for Dee, with regards to your creativity, I know you're also in different spheres, just as a person yourself. When do you feel most creative?
When I'm relaxed and I've had enough sleep. Honestly, when all my personal needs are met, I feel most creative, because the creative juices can actually flow, and I don't have the stress of being tired, or lacking food or whatever. It's when I've taken care of myself is when I feel the most creative. If we're talking about a certain time of day, it's usually like 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
Right?
That's usually how it tends to be.
I'm a morning person.
It's always when you're not able to actively do anything about it right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then, Nova, I've got a lovely one for you. So
All right.
if money wasn't a factor, and success was guaranteed, what would you spend your life creating?
That's a good question. And it sounds kind of obvious, but I would say art. Because I feel like a lot of people don't realize that being able to pursue your passion with art is something you really have to invest yourself in. A lot of people don't get off the ground with their creative endeavors because of the fact that they don't have the support system that they would need in order to pick up their creativeness off the ground. So say for instance, small businesses, right? A lot of small businesses, you need money to invest in that. You need to have the money to purchase product and stock, and sometimes for some businesses, a brick and mortar location,
Right.
and that takes money. And so a lot of people, they're either intimidated by it or they don't have the money or the resources for it.
Right.
So they never get the chance to do those things. And I myself am lucky enough to be able to do things like vendor booths and stuff at conventions. But again, that's something that takes money.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I had the money and the guaranteed success for it, in quotes, because success is very subjective, especially when it comes
Sure.
to art.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their own sort of idea of where they would like to see themselves. I would say I'd be doing art, because doing art for the sake of doing art, a lot of artists don't get to do art for the sake of doing art, like getting to make art for the
Right.
sake of making art. They do
Yeah.
it a lot of the time, they burn themselves out to
Sure.
continue to create things, but
Mhm.
being able to create without the pressure of worrying about whether or not you can put food on the table,
Yeah.
or worrying about any other sort of stressor that would come with needing the money or needing the success from it,
Sure.
you'd be able to do those things. And I feel like that's something that I would do, was to just create for the
Just
sake of
create.
creating.
I can relate to that also with music, because you tend to sit in a situation where, am I creating for the people, or
Mhm.
am I creating for myself so that
Mhm.
people can learn more from me? Because you
Well,
get into that rut where you have to follow a recipe, and it has to have a hook, it has to have a catchy beat, and that's the thing, and that's why I'm creating this so that we
exactly.
can make money.
Right.
But then that's why all these different genres, like your singer-songwriter type, and you catch that moment. You might not pull the crowds,
Mm,
but you have that 10 or 20 people where they will sit in that restaurant, or in that and then they feel that artist's
yeah.
passion, or that creativity that goes up, and it's not
It's
just
a
that
risk
recipe.
too, because if you step outside of like this blueprint that you know is guaranteed to work and give you the success that you're looking for, that you need,
Yeah.
then there's a chance that it might not get
Yeah.
the success that you need. So like say for instance, I know a lot of really popular thing for especially people who create content these days,
Yeah.
they will follow a very specific structure of making content, because they know it works. But the downside about it is that it doesn't give room for creativity,
Mhm.
or like freedom with the things that you
Sure.
create. So
Right,
like
yeah.
say for instance, you make a very specific like niche of content, like vlogs or something, of
Right.
vlogs for people who like Fallout
Fallout.
or like certain video games.
Mhm.
If you want to divulge from that and you want to do something unique,
Right.
say for instance you have like a twist on it, and you
Mhm.
want to do that, but you don't know if it'll succeed, because you know that vlogging is a popular thing, you know that video games are a popular thing. But if you turn and divulge to something that you don't know
Yeah.
has a higher percentage like chance of succeeding,
Sure.
it's a risk.
Yeah.
And people don't want to risk that, especially
Yeah.
because it could be detrimental to
Yeah.
their ability to succeed.
And I think that's true, Dee, where we were talking last time, one of our other episodes, you were talking about the fear of success.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
it's very real. I
that
definitely
makes-
experience that
like,
all the time.
That's the one thing, like when we take that path that we feel comfortable with, where we know where we're going, but we want to kind of move off that beaten path to do our own, to be our own creatives.
Yeah.
But we're scared. Like nobody's
Mhm.
taken this path before. So it's like got a lot of vines and a lot of like, rocky roads, and
Yeah.
I don't have the tools to really get through that path.
Yeah, you have to pave it yourself.
Right.
You're a pathfinder. You
Mhm.
really are. And I
Mhm.
think that's where a lot of people get scared, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The fear of success is just as complicated and common as the fear of failure. Failure just seems so much more likely that people are like, they focus in on the fear of failure and they don't see how they limit themselves when they are starting to be successful, when they're taking that unbeaten path,
Right.
and it's working. And they're like, but it's slow. That's the other thing. Failure is usually fast.
Oh, yeah.
Success is slow.
Yeah.
And you have to build and build and build and build. And
Absolutely.
it's so the thing that I always try to keep in mind, like with my business, is that it's going to be slow. And I mean, I know the statistics of people who start their own businesses have so many failures before they have a so-called success. The average is 2 to 3 failures before you have a full success,
Right.
or something like that. So it is really what I have to keep in mind is that this is a slow process. And that when I'm starting to feel beaten down or, tired or whatever, that I just sit there and go, okay, no, I'm still taking forward steps.
Right.
And as long as my steps are forward, as long as the cumulative effect is forward movement, then I am succeeding.
I
Yeah,
like that. I
absolutely.
like that.
I feel like people too, they don't realize when they have a fear of success, because success is seen as a positive thing. And it's like, why would I be scared of that? People don't realize that you can be scared of good things happening to you for a multitude of reasons.
Right.
But a lot of people it's easier to recognize when you have a fear of failure because it's something that's so scary to a lot of people. But, people don't see success or good things happening to them as a scary thing.
Right.
So it's harder to perceive as something that they'd be able to experience, like the fear of success.
Right. We actually had a really long conversation on that one question.
Yeah.
And I think it was a really good question. Even though it was directed towards Nova, I think it was a really good question for all of us.
yeah.
To kind of
to chime in,
look at.
and
So 1 second, we have a speaker problem. So we're gonna try to fix this.
I'm not sure whose device that is.
There we go. Okay, I think
Technical
I think we're
difficulties
good.
over.
I think we're good.
okay.
Okay, so who wants to go next with their? And did you ask all the questions? That
Yeah, I
okay.
think so. If I could also chime in a bit, like
Yeah.
with the whole thing about that fear of success, it's actually because we are, as creatives, you are so used to failure
Yeah.
that it's like even that like, and I'm experiencing a lot of this now, even like with moving here and then now job applications, you kind of, it's like, okay, this is a no, and then when that thing comes through, it's like, oh, what do I do now?
Right,
What do
right.
now I actually have to do something and all that. So so that I think I covered all the questions on from my side to the three of you. Nova, do you want to give it a go?
Yeah. So my
Okay.
question sort of applied to all of you, but I'll ask each one of you individually.
Okay.
So each of you get a chance to respond. And mine was sort of inspired by the fact that I myself grew up very not disconnected from figuring out my path, but more so conflicted, I guess.
Okay.
Especially as somebody who was so passionate about so many different things and still is. And so I did a lot of things growing up. I would test the waters, I dipped my toes in every little thing that I took interest in, because you don't know what you're going to do with your future when you're young.
Right.
And as a kid, you're sort of expected to figure this out by doing so many different things. And then by the time you're like 18, you'll have it figured out and you'll go to college and try and major in it or something. That's not always the set path everybody goes on.
Right.
Everybody runs their own race at their own pace, and they take their own path.
Right.
And sometimes we create our own paths. So my question is, why and what are the skills you learned to build your career or put you on the path that you're on today? So I guess we can start with you, Kat.
Okay, so the question again.
So why did you develop the skills that you learned to build to put yourself on the path that you are today, and what are those skills?
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good question because, and I can answer that absolutely clearly in my mind what the skills were and why. So my main reason of the skills that I learned was because when my kids were younger, they struggled in school and they had a really hard time with the educational system, the way that it was being presented. And here in America, if you're not here in America, how the school system works is that especially in high school, you have to have a certain amount of points in order to graduate. And sometimes they focus on certain things that aren't necessarily those life skills. So, for instance, you might need extracurricular activity, 5 points in maybe extracurricular activity like aquatics or, photography or something like that, or an extra language or whatever. But they don't necessarily focus completely on, let's say, financials. So it was very difficult for my kids to really hone in on something they were interested in, and really grasp that. Now, remember, my kids at the time, they're autistic, and they were really struggling during that time. So for me, as a mom and as a gamer, I took those skills of what I learned in games and I presented it to my kids. For instance, my son had to be held back one year in his first grade. He had to be held back and he was very, very disappointed. So what I did was I explained it in gamer terms, where I said, how you go into a dungeon and you're constantly fighting the same boss over and over and over again, and you cannot seem to beat him, and you get so frustrated, and you have to go back out, you have to re-gear yourself, you have to maybe practice a little bit more on the outside of the dungeon and level yourself up some before you go back into the dungeon and refight the boss and win. That's the same thing. That type of example is what I brought to him when he was worried about not moving on to the second grade. I said, you need to just go back, retry your skills again and level up, and then you can move on. That sometimes we just have to keep doing that. And he understood completely. So I utilized my skills as a gamer to teach him how to move forward in a more positive aspect, and not to get so frustrated, or in utilizing games to the point where if you continue to get frustrated doing something in school or in a job, just step back, turn it off, and then take a breather. Then you can go back, because we all have to do that as games as well. Yeah. So I utilize my skills and for that to teach my kids and even myself patience, teamwork, and really just the fact of leveling myself up.
Self-investment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's a good answer. Did you need me to repeat the question?
No, I think I've got it.
Okay.
So the skills I developed are very specific because I went to school for art therapy.
Okay.
So I had to learn to hone my creative abilities, my painting, my drawing, my art making abilities, and then I had to basically take 2 minors outside of the bachelor's degree I already had.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So because I had to do basically what amounted to an art minor and a psychology minor
Wow.
in order to get into the master's program that I ended up going to. And the reason I developed those skills was I've always been a helper. Someone who helps people. And I wanted to be able to help people, but I also wanted to be able to use my creative abilities so that I didn't get burnt out, bored.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I get that.
And because, well, you know how it is, when you have a neurodivergent brain, you get bored very, very
You need that
easily.
stimulation of something new, something to challenge yourself.
Yeah. And then what I did was I got what was going on was I wanted to be a helper And I was inspired by some friends who were in the military. They came back with multiple issues. They came back from deployments with multiple issues. One of them had actually been caught in on the outskirts of a roadside explosion, and had been injured, and had a traumatic brain injury and that sort of thing. And he had been a tattoo artist before he went into the military. And one of the things he started doing to help rewire his brain was he started doing flash art again when he got out of the military. And I kept thinking, is there a way to combine art and therapy and art therapy? And because at the time I didn't know that art therapy was a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's still an emerging field as it is. And, but, so I went and explored the internet and found art therapy was a real thing. And that's how I ended up there, because I had friends in the military who used art to help them cope.
Yeah.
And it inspired me.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up with my skills and all of that. The gaming that I bring to my therapeutic gaming, that's just a lifelong thing that I've been doing. I've been gaming since I was 14. So I've been gaming 3 decades or more. So, and
Seasoned veteran.
I am a seasoned veteran, and I'm not the always DM. So that always, it happens from time to time. But and so I just bring all the skills that I have learned over those 30 something years that I've been gaming to therapeutic gaming as well. And that's just a whole host of skills: problem solving, decision making, collaboration, teamwork, social skills, interactions, and that sort of thing. And those are things I teach in my therapeutic gaming.
That's
I
awesome.
like that.
Yeah, I think with developing my skills, I used to, well, as a youngster, I used to be a singer anyway. So it was something that, call it something I was maybe born with, or the more I was exposed to music type of thing, it was something that I developed much quicker than your regular person who might not be into music. So I think with my aspect, other things actually incorporated into my singing teaching field, and it's almost like if I can think of philosophers or people that teach. Lucy Green is also one of the people that I follow a lot with her practices, where she says that when you add the theoretical knowledge to adapt to the person's needs, instead of going into a full-on curriculum and studying music full-time type of thing, going into things like, I need to learn a bit of harmony because I don't understand that concept, then you upskill yourself. So I think that kind of was my route into getting into developing my communication skills. I always used to say I'd rather sing than speak in front of people, and I mean, you're sitting with a table talk type of thing, where I needed to upskill myself, because if people ask me, they say, "Oh, you're a musician. What instrument do you play?" And they say, "No, I'm a singer."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you don't play piano."
Oh.
so they don't see you. They don't see you as a musician.
Right.
It's like the same thing as an artist. Like, okay, so what do you do full time?
Right.
Like,
Right.
What is your job?
Right.
And
What is your real job?
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So I think I needed to build the respect of the musicians.
Yeah.
Being a singer, people see you as this person that sings with karaoke lyrics in front of you, and they don't understand that. So going through a diploma of music education, going through a degree, and going through a master's, to have that theoretical knowledge. So it added a new language to my skill set. So I'm able to communicate with people who are not singers, who are maybe concert pianists, or they are guitarists or musicians in the sense of academic side. So and I think that's where that specialty in bringing the three worlds, entertainment, art and business and academics, or actually four worlds, into one thing, and trying to establish to say that it's not so distant from each other, but we just need to acknowledge and accept where the lack in that gap is. And so just to understand that we are more similar than we are different. They're seeing someone as an academic artist, or someone who's a performing artist as a gig person, or someone, in that sense, who just sees it as art. So that's kind of how I incorporated the theoretical knowledge into building my skills.
I love that.
I do too. And I think you make a really good point, because you said when people look at you as a musician, they automatically assume that you know how to play, that you play instrumentals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you say, no, I'm a singer, like, oh, okay. They have a different view of musicians. It's the same thing when people say art, when you say I'm an artist, they automatically assume you're a fine arts person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, so you sculpt, or you
paint.
like you paint, or you art. When we say we're creatives, we're artists. It's a totally, you know what I mean? It's such a large field.
Absolutely.
That people were we programmed as kids to think that way? Like, doctors. Oh, everyone thinks of a doctor. Oh, you're a heart surgeon or something. Like,
I mean, I feel like what Dee said too is a really good example of that, where you said you didn't even know that art therapy was a thing,
right?
Because you were just never exposed to the concept of art being an outlet or a mechanism to be utilized within therapy. And because most people, whenever they hear therapy, they think of somebody who sits down and just listens to them, but they don't really do anything to help teach them like the skills or like ways to cope with, or tools to utilize in that aspect.
Right.
I didn't even know it was a thing either. I did like art therapy once when I was a teenager, and I didn't know it was a thing, because I had spoken to you and I had said I wish there were a sort of therapy where I could express myself through my art, because I had a very hard time communicating as a teenager. I had trouble speaking, like talking, not just because of communication issues, but because I physically could not bring myself to talk whenever it came to opening up about certain things that were very traumatic or upsetting. So I found it much easier at the time to express myself through my art, and I had wanted a space where I could express that without it being, weird, and going up to my therapist and being like, hey, I drew this thing, please don't hospitalize me. It isn't all taken at surface level. It's just how I'm expressing myself. But, it was just a way to express oneself without having to directly verbally express it or communicate it.
That's the big thing about art therapy is we tell people it eliminates the need to talk.
Yes.
It accesses a part of, because one of the things that art does is it accesses a totally different part of the brain than speech does.
Right.
Absolutely.
And when it accesses that part of the brain, it actually accesses a lower part of the brain, a more primal part of the brain than speech does. So you actually start processing those emotions and those feelings and those traumatic memories and things like that faster than you do through speech, because you don't have to translate.
Right.
There's no translation needed. And the other thing that I want to just kind of throw out there is, as art therapists, we are not supposed to interpret your work. It is literally, when you draw something or you create something in an art therapy session, we ask you, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? Does this represent something? If you say it represents something, then we can start to form an intuition as to what it's representing, and a minor bit of interpretation, but it's based off of what you say,
right,
rather than what we think this image means.
Yeah, projecting like a
allows- yeah.
personal interpretation.
And it allows you to be able to open up that communication more.
Exactly.
Yes.
And also, speech is easier once the art brain has been activated.
Absolutely,
Yes.
because then you can point and explain
Yeah,
each thing. Because
yeah.
I remember I did that when I was in art therapy. I had been asked to paint what I was feeling, and I remember I drew like a ram with like a cracked mask, holding a phone with like text messages, but through emojis. Like that sort of like expressed how I felt, and the clock on the wall was like falling. And I pointed to each thing and I was like trying to explain. I was like, okay, the cracked mask was how I felt about my presentation of self. The ram represents me. And the mask felt like I couldn't keep masking anymore.
Yeah.
And the text on the phone were to represent the fact that I felt like my connections with people were failing. And the clock on the wall was falling because I felt like I kept running out of time. And it was just sort of like an easier way to communicate how I felt, because trying to communicate that all at once felt so intimidating that you can't get it out of your throat.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, it's trying to say all of that. It's a word
Oh
vomit.
my
Exactly.
gosh,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
I
blah.
feel like it helps break
And-
it down into pieces
in
easier.
pieces, because I would be able to say, okay, Nova, why do you think you feel? Why do you? How do you feel that you're running out of time?
Yes.
Mm.
Why
And
do you feel
expand
that
on
you're
And then you
running
can
out of
address
time?
those issues.
And you
Yeah.
can address each of those issues. And we might take 5-6 sessions just to look at your one piece of art.
Right. Because
And
that's
that's
how
the-
deep art, can go
take you.
Yeah.
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 to
I love it.
communicate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that runs deep with a lot of art and in general, like music as well.
Absolutely.
For instance,
Oh, yeah.
I could be sitting and I'd be fine listening to let's say my K-pop, but then all of a sudden when I don't know, Lord of the Rings Enya's comes on, I start crying,
That's right.
because maybe it reminded me of something. Or
Yeah.
maybe it, you know what I mean?
It kind of reminds me of that one song on your playlist that you had felt. You had told me we were in the car. You found this artist. It was like an EDM artist or whatever.
Yeah.
Most people would not really listen to the lyrics, but because you were going through a difficult time, you had told me this line reminds me of this thing,
Yeah.
and this reminds me of this, and this one
Right.
reminds me of myself. And I was like,
And
Yeah,
if
that's-
you
that
are
is how art
familiar,
should be
if you're not
interpreted.
familiar with like EDM, it has like an electric, like
Electronic
electronics,
dance music,
yeah.
like
Electronic
type,
dance
electronics
music.
type thing. So it's not even something that you're like you listen
Yeah.
to and you'd be like,
yeah, you're not like crying because it's
You're not crying
relieving
because
your trauma.
But
You're
it's
just,
the fact that it was the music, but it was also the lyrics,
Yeah.
and it's also the timing
Sure.
Right.
of things. So
the mental
all
state
of
that
it
you're in too
together
when you
is
listen
like,
to it.
oh my gosh, this is just there's just something about that, and that's where creativity can really help. And I think the therapeutics of
Yeah.
music and
Oh,
art
yeah.
is phenomenal.
So
Yeah. You know what's
Absolutely.
amazing just with this conversation now? It's almost like I'm realizing something. The like things that even we doubted in ourselves. Like I remember, like I was so upset going into high school, realizing that you can actually take voice as an instrument.
Yeah.
So now even like you
That's
saying
so
that
cool.
the music therapy, you didn't know that existed, but now you're actually becoming that gap in the market.
Yeah.
To actually advocate to say like voice is actually an instrument and you can take it. So
I
now
say that
I'm
all the
that
time.
person that can advocate for these people and say, but you can start at a young age. You don't have to wait to hit puberty when your voice changes and things like that. And you can say like, we need more voice there. We need more art therapy people.
yeah.
Whether and depending, because everyone has their own way of interpreting art, like you say, fine arts or whatever. And I also realized like what questions to ask. If you're saying you're an artist, it's like, oh, what is your medium? It's like,
Yeah.
okay. It's like, oh no, then they can
What
explain.
do you? Yeah.
Yes,
What do you
absolutely.
do?
Rather than the assumption.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can say I'm an artist. It's like, but what is your medium? It's like, oh no, I do music and I do voice is my speciality or something.
Absolutely.
Paving on the topic of like paving one's path, that's exactly why I do what I do. Growing up, like I had said, I was the kind of kid who would dip my toes in literally everything I could find. I know you were very similar. You did a lot of like after school activities and like had different hobbies that you wanted to try and explore. Because of my struggles in school, I didn't really get the chance to explore a lot of the different fields that I took interest in. I was very anxious. but I did try to explore more as I wanted to look into as I started looking into my future.
Mhm.
So I remember being sometime in my teenager years and wanting to do something that I felt I already had some knowledge in and some skill in, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out like what is something that somebody in the skill with the skills that I have could do with themselves. I felt like the only sort of successful jobs were things like being a doctor or a scientist or
Mhm.
you know somebody who is established.
Mhm.
And paving or divulging from those paved paths, those pre-paved paths,
Yeah.
was intimidating to me because it's hard to look at, you know, one very clear path that everybody has always tread. It's clear cut, you know that it'll take you somewhere versus something where it's like you see like a dirt path. Maybe one or two people have gone through there or maybe no one has and feel like there's another side to this. Like I can
Yeah.
get to another side. And for me, I wanted so bad to get to see if there was another side, to be able to know that somebody with the skills that I have can make use of those, even if there isn't something that I could see on the other side where it was like, say for instance, like art therapy. You didn't know that like art therapy was a thing. So like, say for instance, you didn't know at all, but you decided to be like, you know what, I'm going to take art and I'm going to take therapy and I'm going to see what I can do with this.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I felt, where it was like,
Yeah.
I know I said I advocate for use specifically for neurodivergent individuals, but I also do a lot of discussing the positives of engaging with online communities, specifically in fandoms and like fandom culture.
Mhm.
And I wanted to see if there was a career that could be built out of
Mm.
utilizing my skills within
Right.
those
Right.
fields.
Yes.
And
Be
so
that
like what I do,
pathfinder.
yeah, absolutely. And so what I wanted to do with myself and what I currently do with myself is I go around and I talk about the positives of fandoms and like engaging in those online communities and how you can benefit from it, and how you can utilize those as a skill and as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And so I do that currently, but that was not a thing when I started looking into it. It was not something that I saw other people doing and went, I could do that. It was something that I had to look within myself and be like, I'm going to pave this path for myself because it's something I want to see. I want to follow through with and see if there's another side to this, even though there is no path paved for me.
Well, maybe you
But
could be
we'll
that
see.
pathfinder
Yeah.
and kind of move towards that
Yeah.
of opening up those doors.
Yeah. It's intimidating, but you know,
you know, and just real quickly to before we move on to the next question, June 12th, if you're going to be anywhere near Orlando, Nova and I will be on a panel or be speaking and presenting at My Cafe, I believe it is, Family Cafe in Orlando for the National Disabilities Convention. It's held by the governor of Florida, it's an amazing turnout. And we will be speaking exactly on what Nova was talking about, how communities, fandoms, and online gaming can really help both the individual and the caregiver. So we will be talking about that as a presentation, and then our co-hosts, our friends here, both Robert and Dee, will be there as well. So if you are in the area, please stop by, say hello, and get your picture with us as well. We'll definitely love to give you a shout out,
especially if you can benefit from it too. There's a lot of really important things that you can learn, not just from our panel, but from a lot of the resources that they have at the convention. I know myself, I'm really excited to go because as an individual who is constantly looking for resources to, you know, utilize in my own life, there's a lot of different resources available over there.
Right. How are we on time? Are we good on time?
Yeah.
I think we have about 20 more
Let's
minutes,
see.
right?
Yeah.
So,
can push it.
Dee, do you want to go with your questions?
Sure.
Okay.
So I went with individualized questions for each of you.
Sure.
So I'm going to start with Robert, and we'll just go around the table.
Sounds good.
So, Robert, Name a genre of music you would love to learn more about. What piques your interest about it, and what, if anything, is holding you back from trying it?
That's a very cool question. You know what? K-pop.
Oh boy.
The
Here we
reason,
go.
what attracts me to the genre is that 90s nostalgia type of thing. I'm
Ooh,
a huge
okay.
fan. I don't know
Like
if my
the
Spice
groups.
Girls posted today, but the 90s girl bands and boy bands, if I'm thinking of NSYNC, the Backstreet
Yes.
Boys,
Yes.
Boyz II Men.
Yes.
I mean, that's something. I mean, I could relate to it.
Destiny's
You know, when
Child.
I fell in love. I had breakups. It's like, that type of thing.
Those were seminal songs.
We used to be a country.
So and I think it's like taking a few steps back into time again and reliving that. You see all these little memes and things, you know, when people bring out these little hand games again, or
Yes.
you know, candy or things that we used to have.
Tamagotchi is
You know,
back.
Yes.
Oh, I love those.
So
I'm
that
guilty.
nostalgic feeling, it's I don't know, there's something true in K-pop. But what they're doing now is they're adding technology and obviously nice dance moves and things that is more futuristic, or it feels like it's more relevant.
Uh-huh.
And I think what's holding me back is the language.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree
No,
because I
that's
feel like
not-
we should start doing this more, not just in Asian countries, but just in general, because clearly there's a formula here that needs to be
Yeah.
explored.
Works.
You know, we've seen it too, even in more like recent times, like here in the States, we've got like One Direction, we've got 5 Seconds of Summer, we had like All Time Low. I don't know if anybody remembers that era. I might be
No,
too young,
no,
but
no.
like,
Well, remember,
really.
I have a daughter your age,
right.
so I know all those songs because we were listening to them on radio.
Right. Right.
Well, even
we were
then, it's
listening to One
also-
Direction. We
Yeah.
were listening to the new generation of
Yes.
boy bands
Yeah.
and girl bands.
Right, and it doesn't
that
even
sort
have to
of
be,
thing.
you know, pop either. We
Yeah.
had things like My Chemical Romance or Panic at the Disco or
Oh.
Fall Out
Oh.
Boy too. It was like I remember
Paramore.
those being really
Paramore
popular.
was one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
Paramore,
Yeah.
oh.
And I think that is also something, you know, when you say popular music, that encompasses a lot of things. I mean, Josh Groban's
yeah.
music is also
Oh
pop.
yeah.
And then you have jazz music now with
Absolutely.
K-pop. I
Mhm.
mean, there's something special about K-pop also, because now all of a sudden you have this person that would rap, and it's hip hop influence, and it's this EDM type of thing, and there's like dark pop type of thing. It's all encompassing into the genre.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
K-pop actually becomes this higher order almost, where
Oh,
you have
yeah.
classical music, jazz, and contemporary and
They
theater.
mix it
K-pop
all.
also, it becomes
They
an
mix it all,
all-encompassing type of
That's a
thing.
good question.
It was, thank you.
You're welcome. No, and the language being a barrier, I can totally see that. So that would be one of those things where I would say if you could find a phonetic alphabet that would translate over that,
That's a
so
good
you could
idea.
actually like pick
Sure.
up what they're saying in
In that
Korean
language,
or
Yeah.
or whatever language that they're singing
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And doing it that way. I mean, I have a couple of songs on one of my playlists that have artists that have collaborated with United States artists and
Yeah.
you know
Right.
K-pop artists and J-pop artists and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So, and it gets to the Japanese part, and I'm like, I love it.
I don't know what you're
Yeah.
saying, but I
I have
vibe
no
with it.
idea what's going on.
Bob your
but
head around.
Yeah.
You're like, yep,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
At least the beat's still the same.
Yes.
So-
That was me yesterday. Or not yesterday, like 2 days ago. I went to go see the Backrooms movie with my brothers. And we were in the car, and I was listening to my music, and I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden I hear BTS. I'm like, is that BTS? I like turn around, I'm like, I love this song. And my brother's like, wait, I wasn't paying attention. What song is it? I was like, no, turn this up. This is my jam. I was like, I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, you know what another good one is? He's like, what? And I was like, Black Swan by BTS. And he turns it on, he cues it. And as we're jamming, I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. I'm like, I can't sing the lyrics, but like I'm jamming to it. I'm
Yeah.
vibing with it.
All right, so Nova.
Yes.
All right. So this one was kind of specific towards you
Okay.
again. Who is your favorite anime or manga character?
Ooh.
From what series, and again, why?
Oh my gosh.
And then I have a follow-up question.
Ooh.
She's grilling you.
Ooh.
Oh, just wait your turn.
I didn't think I'd be asked this. Okay, let me think. I have so many different characters that I'm like really fascinated with.
Okay,
but
we
I
only
think...
have 20 minutes.
she's like, I know you're gonna go on another one of your character analysis essays. Please tone it down. No, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I have an overall specific, but I think a really good one, just for the sake of the topic, I do want to bring up might be. This is gonna sound crazy, viewers. Don't judge me. I can see the comments now. Why? Would probably be Kokichi Oma from Danganronpa. It's a
Why did
Japanese
I know
visual
this?
novel game. Stop. No, because I would have said Shuichi, but listen, hear me out. The reasoning is because audience, please. I can hear it now. Is one, I love the complexity of the character.
Okay.
I guess that you could say like a duality of the character. The character is very keeps up a mask, keeps up a persona within the context of the video game itself. The context being that they are in they're forced to participate in this game where they have to kill each other off.
Yeah.
Sounds very violent, but and this character individual does put on a performance, and he very much exaggerates this performance, this persona of oneself. And I find it so fascinating, not just for the concept of it, but for the psychological reason of it. Because why would you want to expose your vulnerabilities and your true self to others when you can't trust them? And everybody in the beginning of the game, everybody is very insistent on, we have to work together. We have to find a way out of this until the first person is offed. Yeah. And by that, it instills this deep distrust within each other, because if one person has already been offed, you can't trust anyone around you to be who they say they are, or to trust anybody at all.
Right.
And within the context of it, it's just so fascinating that this character is the way that he is, because you can tell that he wants to trust the other people, that he wants to open up and you know, be that, but in order to carry out what he feels is the best route
for survivability,
but also saving the others, he has to put on this mask. He has to perform and play into this role, and I find that so fascinating.
It's actually very brave.
Absolutely, it's very
I
selfless.
Like that. Selfless. Yeah, that's a good word.
It's just so fascinating to me, and studying the character himself, and just the role that the character takes on is fascinating to me. And not only that, but I find parts of myself within said character. And I find that that's something that a lot of people tend to overlook when they say that they have a favorite character or a character that they like, is there's something about that character that you have a draw to inherently. And a lot of the time it is because there is a trait within them or something about that character or their story or their arc that you find like fascinating or relatability. And that was one of my heavy draws, especially as a teenager. You know how I mentioned the drawing that I did in art therapy, where I felt like I had drawn the ram with a broken mask on. I felt a lot of that resonated sort of with the whole character having to keep up a performance in order to, you know, in order to survive. And I related to that a lot. Are you giving her
therapy right now?
I know how to analyze my.
He's like,
no. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the. You're very self-aware.
I already knew that, so I didn't have to point that out.
I'm very open about it.
The thing that the reason I ask about characters is because, like you said, that character shows you something about yourself.
Absolutely.
So
it definitely reflects too on my creations.
Just as a yes or no question. Okay, have you done fan art? I
always do fan art. That's my whole
so
shtick.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
And you know what? I'll just say too. On the topic of fan art, a lot of people will utilize fan art as a way to express themselves and the things
Absolutely.
going on psychologically. And I feel like that's one thing that I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Because I make fan art and because I discuss things like fandoms and how you can utilize it as a coping mechanism,
Mhm.
is the fact that art in self-expression does not have to be original in the sense that it doesn't
No,
have to
yeah.
be
No.
something made up of your own. You don't have to come up with these elaborate stories or these characters with these developed backgrounds. And that goes generally. You don't have to give every single character you make like a background or anything. But like
Yeah.
if you have a character that you like, or there's a story that you love, or that you feel resonates with you, you
Yeah.
can use that to express oneself. People project onto characters all the time. Why do you think headcanons exist? I don't know if you guys know what
Oh,
that is.
yeah.
It's when you
Yeah.
project a concept onto a character that isn't
Yeah.
true in the storyline of the official media.
Yeah.
But you like the idea, so you project it onto the character.
I
Yeah.
like that. That was good. That was good.
Your turn.
Oh, wait, where are we at?
Authentication.
Do we have an ad?
Yeah,
You
you
just
can
slide it down.
slide it.
All right.
Sorry, guys, we had an ad pop up here.
You slide it down. So,
Slide it down.
so yeah, there we go.
Oh, wait.
There we go.
They're making you do a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's 'cause I said I was Pikachu. Oh my gosh.
Puzzles.
So Kat,
Okay. Yes. Why do you feel nervous?
I don't know.
We're playing good cop, bad cop now.
I'm
Finally.
the bad cop. So,
This guy's
This
good
is-
cop.
who is your favorite character to play in a video game and why?
Oh, that's a good one too. And
like
a
the
lot of
villain. I get to do
yeah,
all the
a lot
bad
of people
things.
are actually a lot of people watching this might say, "Oh, she's going to say someone from Fallout," right? I absolutely am not.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
My favorite character was Commander Shepard from Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
I knew it was going
And the
there.
reason why is because so if you've never played Mass Effect, you really should go look it up. I'm not going to get into the explanation of it, but I liked Commander Shepard because I felt important. I felt like people either you liked me or you didn't, right?
Yeah.
With Commander Shepard, but Commander Shepard always stood by their path of like, this is my mission. That's what I do. Either people are going to like it or they're not going to like it, right?
Yeah.
And but I'm going to save the world. That's what the mission was, right? And that's kind of how I am. I want to be that way. Throughout my life, I've been like, I want people to like me. That's how I've always been. I've been like, I want people to like me. And that comes down to a very
More people
deeper
pleasers.
part of myself, of not really knowing who my identity was, because I was
Yeah.
adopted. It comes all to that stuff, right? So I wanted people to like me. Commander Shepard was always how I felt like I am a good person. I like everyone. I don't care what your past or anything like that. I like everyone. Everyone has goods or bads.
Yeah.
But when we all have a mission, when we have to save the world or have something in common, we should all come together.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I'm always that person where like, you're going to like me or not going to like me, but I'm going to do this and save people and be good.
Yeah.
I'm a good person. And that's how I can relate to Commander Shepard.
Yeah.
Was that Commander Shepard really was on a mission, and that Commander Shepard wanted to do good, or depending on how you played the character, but Commander Shepard wanted to do good. We knew what the outcome or what the mission was, and you made friends along the way. Some of them you lost, some of them you didn't. And that's kind of why I chose Commander Shepard, because that I could relate.
I think too,
to
a lot
that.
of you liking Commander Shepard and liking playing as Commander Shepard is the connections that you develop with the other characters.
Other characters, right?
And you
The
feel like
respect.
you are put in that position of literally being Commander Shepard. Like you feel like these are your friends, these are your enemies, these are the bonds that you have created
Right.
yourself.
And that's a good point. Because,
And that's because of that projection too, because
Yeah.
you oftentimes subconsciously you relate certain things to certain
that
characters or certain
character, right.
situations.
And that was a good question too, because the fact that it makes you, when you have these questions like Dee is asking me, it makes me think about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like,
reliving
more
it again, eh?
Deeper ask about like why do I really like this? And
Self-reflection.
one of the big reasons as well is Commander Shepard had true friends,
Yeah.
would have died for Commander Shepard,
Sure.
was loyal to Commander Shepard.
Mhm.
And that's, I've always wanted
Makes
that.
up for something
I've
that you
always,
feel like
I've
you
never
need.
had that. I've never
Absolutely.
had major friends. Like I'm that type of person. I'd be like, I would die for you
Absolutely.
because if I would stick up for you, I would do like, and that's what I wanted,
Yeah.
was that type of friendship that I
fulfilling.
could give to
That's
you.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
question. Yeah.
Thanks.
So
Cater
okay,
to
so
our
those
nerd
your
hearts.
question-
Those
your
were
questions.
That's
those were
it.
my
Your turn.
questions.
So my question really has again, like I'm like, I guess this is good. The two of you had individual questions, and then no one, I had one question that all of us could kind of ask. But I wanted it to really focus on yourself. Okay, like and so my question is, and we can go around the table as well, is my question is, what is something about yourself that you do not like, that you really feel that you have to work on every day, not to cover up that part of yourself, but to work on to better yourself, not because of other people, but because it makes you feel better. Like you don't, like for me, I'll give an example. For myself, the older I get, I'm become very impatient.
Mhm.
So I'm a very, throughout my life, with my husband being deployed a lot, with my kids having, special needs and so forth, I've always been an organized person. I am.
Yeah.
My mother used to tell me my kids were robots because they would come in the door, hang up their stuff, go to their list, check things off, and they would do their stuff. I never liked that part about myself, that I had to do that, but it kept things organized, right? So I became impatient. I was a very impatient person. I'm trying to work on that part of myself, not just for other people, but because me.
Yeah.
I can't be impatient with life.
Mm-mm.
If I'm impatient with life, I'm going to be on my deathbed one day and go, where did it go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to be better in that aspect. So what part of yourself are you that you feel you could work on? Whether, you're like, I don't like that part about myself, or it's good and bad, but I wish I was better in it, to help you personally and to help business-wise as well in that aspect. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I don't mind. Actually, what I have recently discovered that I do not like about myself is my anxiety has actually made me more introverted.
Okay.
I used to be a very extroverted person, and it has swept through my entire house. Is that the pandemic made us all more introverted because we were stuck at home, and we only had the four of us in my house.
Yeah.
And that was the only socialization we had for a year and a half,
Right.
because we isolated a lot because we were very
Social creatures need socializing.
so but I have found that when I go to, say, business meetings and I'm supposed to be handing out my business cards, I'll stand there with my cards in my hand and I still won't go talk to somebody.
Right.
It's very common these days.
And I have found that I am having to relearn how to be that extroverted part of myself. I'm a talker, but I have gotten to the point where somebody has to engage me first.
Right.
Yes.
Sure.
And it never used to be that way. So that is something I'm working on, is stepping outside of my comfort zone and actually, going and talking to people or going and doing social events.
That's what my question was going to be. How are you trying to work on that?
Sure.
And I think that's a really good step. The fact that you're actually going, and I think that a lot of people don't get to that point even,
Yeah.
to just go.
Baby steps.
So you're,
I mean,
taking that.
I'm leaving the house. I'm
Mhm.
going to these social events.
Yeah.
Right now I'm at the social event and I'll talk to like one person.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
slowly.
Well, I'm glad you talked to me when we were like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
So-
So it all depends if you vibe with somebody.
Right,
too,
exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah.
You know.
I was gonna say too, not to, derail the conversation. I'll try and keep it brief, but mine was a very opposite experience where like, I feel like I was very, very socially anxious and like, couldn't speak to people verbally, like going into the pandemic. And when lockdown hit, I felt like everybody going inside their homes and then suddenly being put in my situation
Mhm.
or in a similar position as me finally made me feel like I could connect with other people and talk to them. And then after we got out of lockdown, everybody felt like they were in the same position as I had felt stuck in for years. So
For
I felt like
years.
they were
Oh,
learning
okay.
the same social skills that I was learning at. They were at the same like
Right.
stagnation
They could
point.
relate better.
So now it was like, now you're back at where I am. So now we can try and work on this at the same time. Like
Together.
we're not,
Sure.
I don't feel like miles behind everybody else because
Yeah.
they're at the
Very
same point
good.
that I'm at.
Yeah.
Good point.
So it's
Good point.
like, the more you step into that, it's like I definitely obviously clearly can now sit here and communicate
Yeah.
clearer than I would have been able to even just a few years ago.
Mm.
And that's because it took those baby steps into doing that. But sorry,
No,
I
that's
hate
okay.
to derail. I was
No,
just,
you're not derailing. I mean, I guess that would be a good, for you to go and talk about if that was something similar
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what you're doing, what you're trying to fight for about yourself
Yeah.
and what you don't like.
Well, mine's completely different, but we'll we'll get to that after him.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, so I think it's going to sound weird, but I have trust issues.
Okay.
But I think it's a double barrel thing because it's about trusting myself
Mhm.
and also when you trust other people because
Mhm.
I think I need to build up confidence in myself again because I
Yeah.
tend to have a backup for everything.
Yeah.
So, for instance, whether it's a work environment or friendship or what, you kind of have backups. Like if this thing fails, then I have a backup for it.
Mhm.
Where I find myself in situations where I need to rely on myself for
Yeah.
the first time, but I immediately I see myself reaching out to other people. It's like, oh, it would be nice if you also get involved.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Or certain things like if I have to make an important decision,
Mhm.
I'll delay that so much that I can get someone else like Kat or Dee, won't you just like what do I need to do? So
Yeah.
if it fails, then I can blame you.
You all heard that. We're recording that. We're making that short.
That is that
Well, no, because I
escalated.
get that because you don't want to feel like you're the one that's failing yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's totally understandable that if you have trust issues, the root of a lot of trust issues is that you don't trust your own judgment.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Absolutely.
And because if someone has betrayed you in the
Mhm.
past and betrayed your trust,
Mm.
that means that you were a bad judge of character
Yeah.
or something like that.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, that means I can't trust my own judgment.
Yeah.
That means I
Yeah.
can't trust me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it spirals inward.
That's a
And-
lot on
Yeah.
your shoulders.
And
Yeah.
so one of the things I tell people as a therapist is that if we want to work on trust issues,
Yeah.
Mhm.
let's start with trusting your own judgment. Let's start with trusting yourself that you do know what's best for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know how to make a decision and you know how to do these things in small steps. And that's how we get from feeling, like the whole world is against
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
Mhm.
to, okay, I can trust certain people.
I
Because
agree.
you kind of feel like because often I was put in positions of call it authority or responsibility. Now all of a sudden, like people look up to you and it's like, but I need to rely on you for this. Now all of a sudden it's like, am I that reliable person?
Right.
Can I
Yeah,
be
got it.
reliable?
Syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's a
that's
big
good.
thing.
That's a good
Very,
one.
very good.
So
yeah.
you kind of, but I think the way that I'm trying to overcome that is actually not taking baby steps. I take giant steps.
Sometimes you have to throw
Yeah.
yourself in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes
then,
you just,
because you have to sit. Like for me, I feel like I need to be in that situation where I can't rely on anyone else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in this now.
You're in it.
You'll try and
I've-
weasel
I've
your way
booked
out,
that
no
ticket.
matter
I'm going to
I'm going.
America.
Yes.
There's
I'm
no
doing
turning
this.
back. How am I
There's
going
no
to do
turning
this?
back.
I have to just rely on myself and
Yeah.
my own thoughts
Yeah.
sometimes. So I think it's fun.
Yeah.
It's scary, it's fun, but it's just something I don't know. Maybe I'm that thrill seeking type of person that
Oh, we all know this.
You know?
We all know
Guys
this.
jumped off the bridge.
Right.
Maybe I'm
Bridge.
not thrill seeking.
Maybe
So yeah, so
Or
I don't know.
thinking
Yeah,
caps on.
it's life lessons.
it is. It
Yeah.
is very good. Very good. Nova.
Oh boy. It's gonna sound funny coming from somebody who always talks about it, but I feel like for me it would be asking for help. And in not specifically in the way of being like, I feel okay. How do I phrase this? Recognizing what I need help with is something that's incredibly easy to me because I'm very self-introspective. I sit with my thoughts like all the time. I never escape my brain. And I don't, none of us can, we have to sit with ourselves sometimes and
Yeah.
think, but some of us are just more introspective about ourselves and look into and try and figure those things out ourselves so we can address those, the things that we feel need addressing. But for me, I feel like maybe not more so asking for help, but letting people help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I'm somebody who constantly who grew up needing help, needing assistance, needing guidance. And I mean, it's good to seek out help, to get the advice you need or the resources and making use of those and to lean on those who want to help. But for me, I feel like leaning on it made me somebody who desperately seeks to be independent. So and like self-reliant, because I don't want to have to rely on other people forever, if that makes sense. So letting people help me has always been something that's been really difficult for me, not just so in the sense of like interpersonal relationships, but also in things like creative projects. So when it comes to my community, I run a community, like a Discord server online, and I've had like friends and people come in and help, like moderators and stuff. But one thing that I always had a really hard time with that I've been trying to sort of let in more, because it'll open a lot more doors if I do let it in and let it happen, is letting people have help me in the sense that sometimes you cannot carry everything by yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who loves having not total control, but having control of the things that I feel will help express what I'm trying to do. And so for instance, my community, my server, I will have moderators help me to some degree, but when it comes to having somebody like an admin or a co-owner, I will always for some reason I have such a hard time being yes, I'll let you be in charge of this and I'll be in charge of this. This is ours. For me, it's I have to do everything. I have to make sure that I'm the one that's checking out chat. I have to make sure that I'm the one that's planning things. I have to make sure that everybody knows about this and that I'm the one that's getting the meetings scheduled and the videos out and everything. I have such a hard time relenting control of at anything really, just
Delegating.
especially creatively, because it's I don't want to have to put too much reliance on another party to carry that, because I'm very I want to be able to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing it. I think.
Right.
Sure.
I think, and Dee, and this may be a good thing, kind of observant as well, is a lot of people that are like that, because I'm like that to some degree as well,
Especially with disabilities.
with things like that, is because we've been failed previously.
Absolutely.
For instance, in groups where you're okay, everybody's supposed to have their own little thing to do, but at the end of the project, you realize you're the one that had done all the stuff, and everybody else is well, I did part of it, and you're this is my reputation too.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when that happens too much, we get to the point where do we either have to tell people are you on this? Are you on this? Are you on, what I mean? Or you get to the point where I just can't rely on anybody in that group, so I do everything. And then it becomes such a burden to us.
Yeah.
How do we get past that? How, again, Is that trust issues?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
In a
is that-
sense. In a sense,
it's
trust
in a
issues.
sense- in a sense, it's the trust issues. It's usually extreme self-reliance comes from either a desire to be completely independent or mostly independent
Mhm.
in reaction to having been helped a lot,
Mhm.
or
Or
it
not
comes
helped at all.
from being neglected and being not helped at all, and you're
Exactly.
so used to being self-reliant
Yeah.
that you can't
Yeah.
you can't do it.
Right.
You're teaching yourself to be self-reliant,
Yeah.
and you've probably just
Skewed so hard the other way.
you skewed
Yeah.
so hard
Yeah.
the other way. So now you're having to learn what people who have gone through neglect and rejection and things like that also have to learn.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
and so it
Good
does
point.
come down to trust issues.
Yeah.
It comes
Yeah.
down to independence issues. It comes down to anxiety issues.
Yes.
All of us are saying something very similar.
Very
Yeah.
similar.
And
Absolutely.
being understood also in a way, because it's like sometimes
Understand.
like,
Yeah.
have I communicated this correctly?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you end up doing is like, I have to do it eventually. I have to do it myself. But now what happens is now I don't have the time.
Yeah.
Because now I have to if I did it by myself in the first place, then
Yeah.
I could have planned it. I
Yes.
could have done this,
Right.
and now you dropped me last minute. Now I have to do this, and I could have done it better.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I get that.
Exactly. I think, before we end the show, I think we all, from these questions, I think we all learned, one, about each other,
Yeah.
and two, about ourselves.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was a lot that we, and I think in this one episode alone, I really think that all of us have thrown ourselves onto the table and said, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And and this, accept us how we are. We're real. We're not the fake teenagers on stream that are just showing you how to put on makeup. We are, we're a real crew. We're a real team, and I think we really thrive off of each other's
Yeah.
skills and positives and negatives. And I think we can bring that to the table.
And it's
every
good
time.
to reflect on not just our positives, but our negatives,
Yeah,
our flaws, the things
yeah.
that we
Yeah.
lack, in order to address those and become better versions of
Right.
ourselves, in order to carry ourselves out in the best way possible for our professional
Right.
experience as well.
So to end this episode, I'm gonna leave one thing on the table for all of you.
Mhm.
Whatever you learn from this, learn that you cannot do it all. That it takes a team. That you really have to rely on people, whether it's your spouse, your kids, your sister, your best friend, whatever it is. Two of you together are better
Mhm.
than just you alone. And that has nothing to do with like being alone and loneliness. It has everything to do with, we were not created to be perfect. Absolutely. You can't take everything. You're going to have pros and cons, and just feed off of those people who have the better pros in the areas that you have the cons. So it's just going to work out much better. And again, trust is a big issue, I think, for all of us in certain aspects of ourselves and our teammates too. So I really think I really enjoyed this episode.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good
Thank you.
discussion
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. So next episode, we will actually be with Dee over at her workshop, and maybe we'll do a craft or something together, and Dee can kind of give us a hands-on of, the last time we did this was last year, and we made gnomes.
Oh
Yep,
my gosh.
the
Yes. So maybe we'll make something or play a board game or whatever. We're looking forward to it, because we are definitely going to start doing more hands-on, in-person type workshops and talks, and just sitting down and getting to know each other as well as you. So thank you everybody for joining us. We will talk to you again next month.
Bye.
Bye.